Let's rewind this and see how much you stepped all over me in the first half.
I didn't say a word.
Okay, we'll watch the film. Welcome to another episode of Bitches in the Kitchen. You were behind.
I was.
You were so behind, like this was your first day to the party. Here we go, let's try it again. Welcome to another episode of
Bitches in the Kitchen. I'm Janet.
I'm Chris. And today we're going to talk about sweet potatoes. Well, kind of.
I kind of like this one.
We're not making phallic references to all the sweet potatoes.
No, this looks like the witch in Hansel and Gretel.
Okay.
That's a note.
Anyway, so what this is, I pulled all the remnants out of my summer garden. My sweet potatoes are the very last thing to come out, and it's always such a surprise because you just never know how many sweet potatoes you're really going to have.
You just have to dig for them, and these vines just come out like Jack and the Beanstalk, and then you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling. It's like a magic trick.
And today's later episode, Janet will be doing Gardening
really
101
fun.
Because she has much experience in the garden.
I only did it 1 year, but it was really fun. And this is like 1/10 of them. There's a huge box. It's always sad because you know that's the end of the garden.
It is the change of season. The irony about the day that I did it is the day before, Thursday, it snowed here.
Yeah.
And it was like 40-mile-an-hour winds and it was snow. And so when I got to the garden, all the leaves had shriveled up. I mean, it was tragic.
Aww.
It was awful. And I was so afraid that I wouldn't have good sweet potatoes, but I kept digging and digging and digging and digging. And I have about 50 potatoes.
There's 50 right here.
I do have a lot of potatoes.
350.
It represents the change of seasons, a lot like the clocks. You set your clocks back for an hour. 5:30 feels like midnight. That changes pretty hard.
And people are freaking out all over social media about this.
When I plant a garden, I know that a garden has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And at the end of the season, we pull everything up, and then next spring we plant a new garden. That's change. That's anticipated change. I know the beginning, and I know the outcome at the end. Same thing really with the time change.
Change is hard. Exclamation point. That's really what
the end. Good night.
I think
change in general is difficult for people. Change is a part of life. There are many things that we know are coming, i.e. my sweet potatoes, i.e. the time change. We sometimes don't prepare for things that we know are coming.
Are you trying to tell them that they don't do a good job of preparing for change?
How do people prepare for empty nest or retirement or taking care of your parents?
Here's my theory.
Okay.
Am I allowed to say the F word now?
No. Beep.
Okay. Hold on. Wake the fuck up. Because
I said no to the F word.
Okay, but she can bleep it. Wake the fuck up. But that's really what this all amounts to. Waking the fuck up. So
But what does that mean? Let's rewind this and see how much you stepped all over me in the first half. The irony about it was...
Why is that?
And today's later episode, Janet will be doing Gardening
really
101.
Fun.
Because she has much experience in the garden.
I only did it 1 year.
Winter lasts for decades.
Seems like we live in a cave.
You work a normal 8 to 5.
Yeah.
But I think today what we're going to...
You think that comes quickly?
So...
Doesn't seem like it's short. I didn't say a word.
Okay, we'll watch the film.
When you are present in your life all throughout, then change, I believe, is a little easier to swallow because you're kind of making minor adjustments along the way. If you are a person who gets on the hamster wheel and we are going through the motions, then change comes at you and wow, because you're not really paying attention. And I was one of them. This is not a shame conversation. We all go through those periods of our lives where we're so stinking busy. The wake the f up is just get off the hamster wheel to stop and pay attention to what it is that you're doing in your life. I mean, my mother in a week is going to turn 90. Yeah, she's a rock star.
Rock star.
She and I talk about her dying. So we've adjusted to her aging and all of that over the last 20 years. So it's not a surprise. Then you stop and you see the changes that have either occurred and or are coming.
Be present in your life, which is really, really hard to do because life is fast. No one's guaranteed a future. Sorry, don't mean to be bleak. Not trying to be, but it's truth. Live in the present. That's the first practical piece of advice we can give. In the same vein is communication. Communication is key to everything. Honestly, it's the key to every relationship. And so by being present, you will also have to be forced to communicate in a way as well. And then number 3, Be intentional, which is not the same as being present. Recognizing that the only thing that can happen is change. It's going to happen whether you get on the bandwagon, buy the ticket or not. It's going to happen with or without you. So the best thing to do is to be intentional in preparing, predicting, planning, communicating about how those changes are going to look coming forward.
And we've talked about this before, so we don't need to belabor it, but just to make your point, which is they're all great salient points, we could use the empty nest as a great example.
My first point is to be present.
Be present. 15, 16, you know it's coming. Whatever your children's plans are for their future, whether it's college, the military, trade schools, whatever it is. What was point number 2?
Communication.
Communication. So now you're having these conversations with your family, your children, maybe
your
their
spouse,
friends,
your significant other.
All of the above, anybody that is relevant. Everyone's on the same page. Now even your children are excited because you're part of the conversation, and they can sense that you're excited for them as they begin to transition and step out of the nest. And lastly,
be intentional.
Intentional. So we're going to help them with this leap of faith, with these plans for their future, whether they're moving out of state, whatever it may be. We can help them with intention, with our behaviors, with our reactions, with our language, with everything. If we are intentional about that, the day that they move, yes, it's a page turn, but we've had time to prepare our hearts, our minds, our souls, and we understand that this was inevitable and that that particular day is just the day. And I don't know, for me, it was really exciting. I felt blessed just to be a part of it.
Then you're not just blindsided. But in addition to that, the responsibility that you owe yourself is to prepare yourself by beginning other things along the way so that you're not sitting in the empty house the day after they leave going, okay, I've spent the last 2 years preparing them and now they're gone.
Now
what do I do? So along the way, while you're preparing and helping them, you're also preparing and helping yourself, because this change is coming and everyone has to be very cognizant that it's going to happen. I won't say change isn't hard. That would be silly. Change is hard. The more preparation we do up front, the easier the transition is.
For predictable change.
For predictable change. We can't even do the episode on unpredictable change because that is a whole nother...
Yeah, that's a whole other episode. But you know what? It's a conversation worth having.
And that's how we wrap today's episode up. We speak a lot about boomerettes, as you've seen in our previous video, about putting yourself on your to-do list, about making yourself a priority in this. Let us know how you prepare, or how you have prepared, or maybe you've already kicked it and you're a rock star in the Department of Change. Maybe you hate change. Maybe we've said something today that inspires you. If you did, or if we did, please let us know. That way we feel like what we're saying is relevant.
And if we missed it,
let us know.
Tell us that too.
Good night, Gracie.
Good afternoon, Gracie.
Good afternoon, Gracie.
Have a good day, everybody.
Change in our lives. Things that we can control.
Changes.
That's a good song to put in our video.
Changes.
A better version than what she said.
Oh, hell yeah. Don't you dare. And don't, when we do that, like this is going to end up in the outtakes.
She already knows that's what's happening. That's why she's doing it. It's fine.
Hell no, we said we were never singing.